In a sport based on speed, NASCAR is confronting a new type of pressure, one that is slow-burning, legalistic, and possibly explosive. On one front, it is defending itself against an antitrust action that calls into question the basic structure of the sport's ownership and operations. On the other hand, a separate struggle over a record-breaking charter sale is taking place in open court between two of NASCAR's Cup Series teams, highlighting the fragility of a system that NASCAR has spent nearly a decade attempting to strengthen. Will the charter era soon be over, or will NASCAR outlive the controversy? From federal subpoenas seeking Formula One's deepest financials to restraining orders halting $45 million transactions, NASCAR's legal landscape is shifting, and the consequences might be seismic. The antitrust action filed by 2311 Racing and Front Row Motorsports against NASCAR last autumn has entered a vital new phase. The lawsuit claims the France family, which has controlled NASCAR since its inception in 1948, of operating the sport as an illegitimate monopoly in violation of U.S. antitrust laws, especially the Sherman Act. The teams claim that NASCAR's structure stifles competition, hinders team autonomy, and results in unfair economic control. The charter agreement, which was implemented in 2016 and guarantees teams entrance into races as well as a share of income, is central to their case. While it was initially intended to bring stability, detractors claim it has resulted in a closed ecosystem that favors established teams and consolidates power in Daytona Beach. To make their argument, 2311 and Front Row are using the yardstick method, a legal strategy that leverages other sports leagues and racing series as comparison points. They are attempting to show damages by demonstrating that NASCAR's structure and revenue distribution differ from how other championships treat its teams. This has resulted in a comprehensive set of subpoenas throughout the world of sports and motorsports, including one that has received international notice. On April 7, 2025, 2311 and Front Row filed a motion in the United States District Court for the District of Colorado, trying to compel Liberty Media, Formula One's owning company, to comply with a subpoena requesting a trove of financial data. What do NASCAR teams want from Formula One? Almost anything. The motion seeks information on broadcast revenue, ticket sales, sponsorships, intellectual property, gaming, merchandise, and other topics. They've even requested documents of the Concord Agreement, a confidential agreement between F1, the FIA, and the 10 teams that controls revenue allocation and governance. The goal is straightforward. 2311 and Front Row aim to show that other series provide more income transparency, fairer distribution schemes, and team independence than NASCAR. Liberty Media, as F1's owner, represents the pinnacle of modern motorsport economics, and thus the appropriate yardstick. This request includes detailed revenue breakdowns by category, broadcast ratings and ticket sales for every F1 event, records of intellectual property earnings, data on team valuations and charter franchise sales, internal studies on franchise value. It's a brave strategy, but Liberty Media is not alone. The teams also filed a similar action in New York to require the NFL, NBA, and NHL to submit comparable documents. These aggressive moves indicate the gravity of the challenge being undertaken. This is more than simply a money disagreement. It is about how the sport is governed. And as NASCAR prepares its defense and responds with its own lawsuit charging the teams of conspiracy, the court date approaches. However, this is not the only lawsuit altering the NASCAR environment. A separate legal struggle is emerging in North Carolina, which has revealed the true value of charters in today's NASCAR economy. Legacy Motor Club, co-owned by Maury Gallagher and NASCAR veteran Jimmy Johnson, has launched a lawsuit against Rick Ware Racing over what was intended to be NASCAR history's greatest charter sale, a $45 million agreement to purchase one of RWR's Cup Series charters for the 2026 season. Legacy asserts that on March 3, 2025, the two sides signed a legally binding agreement, with RWR owner Rick Ware signing each page. However, weeks later, RWR apparently backed out, alleging that the agreement was misunderstood. They believed it was for 2027, not 2026. Legacy was not having it. They filed a lawsuit in Mecklenburg County, North Carolina, alleging RWR of breaching contract, operating in bad faith, and seeking to derail the purchase. The complaint also depicts RWR as strapped for cash and unable to compete at the Cup Series level. In response, Legacy sought a temporary restraining order, TRO, which was obtained on April 10th. The TRO prohibits RWR from selling or leasing the contested charter until the case is settled in court. Rick Ware Racing issued a public statement calling the case a misguided attempt to tarnish our reputation. This lawsuit distorts the actual facts, the statement said. RWR has negotiated in good faith and operated with the highest standards of integrity and professionalism. We are confident that the truth will prevail. The back and forth quickly became personal. Tommy Baldwin, RWR's competition director and a long-standing industry figure, appeared on the Door Bumper Clear podcast to vehemently defend Rick Ware, highlighting his character, loyalty, and the difficulties he's conquered, including assisting Baldwin through a significant health issue. "You can say all you want about what goes on the track," Baldwin said, "but Rick Ware is not any one of those things as a person, as an individual, as a father, as a family member. He deserves better. I will fight for Rick Ware as much as I will fight for anybody right now." Meanwhile, the lawsuit demonstrates how high the stakes have risen for charters during the post-pandemic NASCAR boom. If accurate, the rumored $45 million charter price would surpass previous deals, including Spire Motorsports' $40 million payment for a live fast motorsports charter in 2023. Legacy presently owns 2 charters, 42 and 43, and plans to expand to 3 full-time cars by 2026. This lawsuit is about more than just money. It's about scope, timing, and credibility. The 2 cases, the antitrust battle and the charter dispute, are distinct in nature but comparable in significance. Both focus on deeper questions. Who actually controls NASCAR? How are financial decisions made? Is the existing structure sustainable as teams invest more and expect higher returns? For 23XI and Front Row, the conflict is ideological. They want a future in which teams have more voice, greater stability, and more financial benefits. Their challenge to NASCAR's structure, if successful, may result in significant changes to the way the sport is run. For Legacy Motor Club, the fight goes on. It's about assembling a competitive 3-car team, making deals stick, and keeping the charter system from devolving into chaos and war. They all point to one basic theme: the age of uncontested power in NASCAR is over. Teams are no longer satisfied to remain quiet partners. They desire power. They seek clarity. If they can't obtain it on pit road, they will go to court. What comes next? The NASCAR legal calendar is crowded. Discovery in the antitrust action is still proceeding. NASCAR's countersuit adds levels of intricacy, claiming that 23XI and Front Row violated antitrust statutes. A full trial is still months away, but the drive for data from Formula One, the NFL, and other sports will shape the subsequent arguments. In the charter issue, the interim restraining order has halted all immediate transactions. A judge will shortly hear evidence about whether the agreement was legally binding and enforceable. If Legacy prevails, it will strengthen the contractual structure of charter sales. If RWR triumphs, NASCAR may have to reassess how charter agreements are documented and enforced. Meanwhile, the rest of the garage observes and wonders. For decades, NASCAR maintained a solid hold on its structure. The France family dictated the terms. Teams followed. And while the system was contentious, it faced few judicial challenges. But times have changed. Today's teams represent brands, businesses, and multi-billion-dollar organizations. They are not just here to race, they are here to grow, and they want a place at the decision-making table. The cases filed by 23XI, Front Row, and Legacy are indicators of a bigger shift. NASCAR is no longer just a sport. It's a business model under legal scrutiny. And in that courtroom, everything is recorded. Will the Liberty Media subpoena force Formula One to disclose its financials? And how will this affect NASCAR's defense? Can NASCAR sustain the integrity of its charter system if multi-million-dollar transactions fail in court? Most importantly, in a sport based on control, is NASCAR ready for a future in which teams demand more than just a voice? They want true power? The answers may not arrive at the following race, but they will appear in court.